Captain Lisa Monroe stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Fleet vessel Defiance, her eyes fixed on the massive view screen that dominated the front wall. The rest of the bridge crew worked silently at their stations, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. What they were seeing was impossible, yet the sensors confirmed it was real. "Run the scan again," Lisa ordered, her voice steady despite the flutter of fear in her chest. Lieutenant Ben Harris nodded, his fingers flying across the control panel. "Scan complete, Captain. Results unchanged. The object is approximately 15 kilometers in diameter with a ring structure. It's definitely not natural, and it's definitely not one of ours." Lisa took a deep breath. After 15 years serving in Earth's space defense forces, she had seen strange things, but nothing like this. The massive ring-shaped vessel had appeared, without warning, at the edge of the solar system, just beyond Neptune's orbit. It had made no aggressive moves, but its mere presence was enough to put every defense system on Earth on high alert. "Any response to our hails?" she asked. Communications Officer Maria Grant shook her head. "Nothing yet, Captain. Wait." She pressed her hand to her earpiece, her eyes widening. "We're receiving a transmission." The view screen flickered, and an image appeared. The being on screen wasn't human. It had blue skin, large eyes with no visible pupils, and a mouth that seemed too wide for its face. When it spoke, the words came through in slightly accented English. "People of Earth. I am Vexnar, overseer of the Galactic Council's expansion division. Your planet has been monitored for some time. The Council has determined that your civilization has reached sufficient technological development to be formally acknowledged. You will now begin providing annual tribute to the Council in exchange for your continued autonomy." Lisa felt her blood run cold. "Tribute?" she asked, unable to stop herself. The alien's mouth formed what might have been a smile, though it looked more like a predator baring its teeth. "Yes, your planet is rich in resources valuable to the Council. You will provide annually 5,000 tons of rare earth elements, 1,000 specimens of each of your planet's unique biological organisms, and 10,000 human genetic samples." The bridge fell silent. "And if we refuse?" Lisa asked. "Then administrative action will be taken," Vexnar replied smoothly. "You have 1 standard month to prepare your first tribute. Coordinates for delivery will follow." The transmission ended. Lisa stared at the blank screen for a moment, then turned to her crew. "Send all data to Earth Command immediately, and get me Admiral Russell." 24 hours later, Lisa found herself in an underground facility beneath Denver, seated at a large conference table with Earth's top military and political leaders. Admiral Jack Russell, a tall man with steel-gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles, stood at the head of the table. "The Council vessel remains in position," he reported. "Our long-range scans suggest it's armed, but no weapon systems are currently active." "Who are they?" asked President Helen Ward. "How could an entire galactic civilization exist without us knowing?" Dr. Frank Wells, the leading xenolinguistics specialist who had been working on the alien message, cleared his throat. "Based on the language patterns and what little we've been able to learn, the Galactic Council appears to be a coalition of 27 spacefaring species. They've been watching us for decades, possibly centuries. And they want tribute," Secretary of Defense Kate Howard said, her voice hard. "Like we're some kind of medieval peasants." "Worse," Dr. Wells added. "The translation algorithms suggest they view us as a resource-rich backwater, not as equals or even as potential allies, just as a source of materials and biological specimens." President Ward rubbed her temples. "Options? We could comply," suggested Martin Gray, the Secretary of State. "At least temporarily, while we learn more about them. 5,000 tons of rare earth elements is substantial but not crippling." "And the biological and human samples?" Lisa asked quietly. "What happens to those?" No one had an answer. "We've been exploring space for less than a century," Kate Howard said, slamming her fist on the table. "And they expect us to roll over and submit? What kind of message does that send?" Admiral Russell had been quiet, reviewing data on his tablet. Now he looked up, his eyes moving from one face to another around the table. "They're advanced but not omnipotent," he said. "Our scans of their vessels show vulnerabilities, and they made their first mistake by underestimating us." "What are you suggesting?" President Ward asked. "A measured response," Russell replied. "Something that demonstrates we're not primitives to be exploited, but neither are we looking for a war." Lisa sat forward. "My ship, the Defiance, is equipped with our most advanced targeting systems. We could deliver a precise strike, disable something non-essential on their vessel. A warning." "Are you suggesting we fire on an alien ship that outguns us by orders of magnitude?" Martin Gray asked, his voice rising in pitch. "I'm suggesting we show them exactly what humans do when backed into a corner," Lisa replied evenly. The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. President Ward finally spoke. "What exactly could you target?" "Their secondary communication array," Lisa replied without hesitation. "Our analysis shows it's an auxiliary system. Taking it offline wouldn't endanger their crew or compromise critical functions, but it would send a clear message." Admiral Russell nodded slowly. "It's a risk." "Everything about this situation is a risk," Kate Howard pointed out. "But I'd rather risk standing our ground than bow down to become glorified resource providers." President Ward looked at each person at the table, her eyes finally settling on Lisa. "Captain Monroe, how confident are you in your ship's targeting systems?" Lisa met her gaze steadily. 100%, Madam President. My chief engineer Sam Peterson has been fine-tuning our main cannon for the past year. We can hit a satellite dish on their ship without damaging anything else." Admiral Russell straightened his uniform jacket. "I recommend we proceed with Captain Monroe's plan. Better to establish now that humanity won't be pushed around." President Ward took a deep breath. "Very well. You have authorization to deliver this warning shot. But make it clear we're open to proper diplomatic relations. We're not looking for a war." "Yes, Madam President," Lisa said, her heart racing, despite her calm exterior. As the meeting broke up, Admiral Russell pulled Lisa aside. "You know what's at stake here, Monroe. This could be first contact or first conflict." Lisa nodded solemnly. "I understand, sir, but I also understand that throughout human history, showing weakness to an aggressor has rarely ended well for the weaker party." "True enough," Russell agreed. "Your ship leaves in 6 hours. Make that shot count for all of us." As Lisa left the facility, she looked up at the night sky. Somewhere up there, beyond the visible stars, waited an alien ship and a decision that would shape humanity's future among the stars. One shot, one message, that would tell the galaxy that Earth may be new to the cosmic stage, but it wouldn't be anyone's colony or resource mine. She just hoped the Council was listening. The massive Council ship hung in space like a silver ring against the blackness. Inside its command center, Overseer Vexnar watched the small human vessels with mild amusement. These humans were interesting creatures, more advanced than many species at this stage of development, but still primitive by Council standards. They had sent several small ships to observe his vessel from a safe distance, careful not to approach too closely. "Any response to our demands?" Vexnar asked his second-in-command. Officer Zeal checked the communication logs. "None yet, Overseer. They continue to scan our ship and send encrypted messages back to their homeworld." Vexnar nodded, not surprised. This was typical behavior for developing species when first contacted by the Council. First came shock, then denial, followed by desperate planning, and finally acceptance. In his 50 years as an expansion overseer, Vexnar had never encountered a species that did not eventually submit. The Council's power was simply too great to resist. "They will comply," he said confidently. "They always do." On Earth, preparations moved quickly. The Defiance was readied for its mission, with Chief Engineer Sam Peterson working day and night on the ship's main cannon. "It's a delicate balance," Sam explained to Captain Lisa Monroe as they inspected the modified weapon. "Too much power, and we risk serious damage that could be seen as an act of war. Too little, and they might not take our message seriously." Lisa ran her hand along the smooth metal of the cannon. "Will it work?" Sam smiled, his eyes tired but confident. One shot precisely calibrated, non-lethal but unmistakable in its intent. It'll work, Captain. Lisa nodded. Good, because everything depends on it. Admiral Russell had given them clear orders. Approach the Council vessel, deliver the warning, shot to disable only the secondary communication array, then immediately open a channel to deliver Earth's message. The shot had to be perfect, a demonstration of both human capability and human restraint. As the Defiance prepared to depart Earth orbit, Lisa addressed her crew over the ship's communication system. What we do today will shape humanity's future. Among the stars, she said. We're not looking for a fight, but we will not be bullied or exploited. Stay focused, trust your training, and remember what we're fighting for. The journey to the edge of the solar system took 3 days. 3 days of tense silence, equipment checks, and final preparations. With each passing hour, the Council's massive ring-shaped vessel grew larger on their view screens. They're tracking us, Lieutenant Ben Harris reported as they approached. But they've made no hostile moves. They're probably not worried, Lisa replied. To them, we're just primitives coming to deliver our answer, which they assume will be submission. They're in for a surprise, Maria Grant said from her communication station. Lisa took her place in the captain's chair. Battle stations, weapons ready. The crew moved with practiced efficiency. On the engineering deck, Sam Peterson monitored the cannon's power levels, making final adjustments. Target locked, the weapons officer announced. Secondary communication, array isolated. Lisa took a deep breath. The moment of truth had arrived. Fire. The Defiance shuddered slightly as the main cannon released a precisely focused energy pulse. The blue beam streaked across space toward the massive alien vessel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a small section of the Council ship's outer ring flickered and went dark. Direct hit, the weapons officer confirmed. Target disabled. No other damage detected. Sam's voice came through the comm system, unable to hide his excitement. It worked perfectly, Captain. Their secondary communication array is offline, but all other systems appear unaffected. They're powering up weapon systems, Ben warned, his voice tense. Lisa stood from her chair. Open a channel. All frequencies. Maria worked quickly at her station. Channel open, Captain. Lisa straightened her uniform and looked directly at the view screen, knowing her image was being transmitted to the Council ship. This is Captain Lisa Monroe of the Earth Defense Fleet vessel Defiance. What you just experienced was a demonstration of human precision and capability. We disabled your secondary communication array without harming your crew or critical systems. We could have targeted any system on your vessel with the same precision. She paused, letting the words sink in. The people of Earth choose peace and wish to negotiate with the Galactic Council as equals, not as subjects. We will not provide tribute. We will not submit to demands. We are prepared to establish fair and mutually beneficial relations with the Council and its member species. Her voice hardened. But understand this clearly. We will not be exploited or threatened. The next shot won't be a warning. We await your response. The bridge fell silent as Lisa finished speaking. Everyone held their breath, watching the Council ship for any sign of reaction. Their weapon systems are powering down, Ben reported after a tense minute. They're sending a transmission. The view screen flickered, and Overseer Vexnar appeared. His expression was unreadable to human eyes, but his voice carried a new tone, one that might have been surprise or possibly respect. Captain Monroe, he said, your response is unexpected. In the 3,000 years of the Council's expansion, no developing species has ever responded to our initial contact in this manner. Humans aren't like other species you've encountered, Lisa replied steadily. We value our independence. Vexnar was silent for a moment. I see that now. Your demonstration was most informative. I will relay this development to the full Council for consideration. This changes the standard protocol. Good, Lisa said. And while they consider, I suggest we begin a more productive dialogue, one based on mutual respect. That will require time, Vexnar said. The Council must debate this unusual situation. We will maintain position and await further instructions. No aggressive action will be taken against your planet during this consultation period." The transmission ended. Lisa looked around at her crew, seeing the tension begin to ease from their faces. "Did we just win?" Maria asked quietly. "Not yet," Lisa replied. "But we've changed the game. For the first time, they're seeing us as something other than a resource to be harvested." Admiral Russell's voice came through on a secure channel. "Well done, Captain. Return to Earth immediately. The real work is just beginning." As the Defiance turned back toward Earth, Lisa stood at the view screen, watching the alien vessel grow, smaller in the distance. Humanity had fired its warning shot. Now they needed to prepare for what would come next. Whether it was war or peace remained to be seen. But one thing was certain. The Galactic Council now knew that humans would not bow down easily, and sometimes that knowledge alone was enough to change everything. The Grand Council chamber on Nexus Prime buzzed with angry voices. The circular room held representatives from 27 different species, all members of the Galactic Council. News of the human response had spread quickly, and many council members were upset. "This is outrageous," shouted Ambassador Zill, waving his 4 tentacles in the air. His skin changed from blue to red as he grew more angry. "No developing species has ever dared to respond with military action. We must crush them immediately to set an example." Several other representatives nodded and voiced their agreement. The humans' defiance was dangerous. If one species could resist the Council's demands, others might try the same. Elder Thorn, one of the oldest council members, raised a hand for silence. His species lived for hundreds of years, and his wrinkled green skin and slow movements showed his great age. Unlike the others, he seemed more curious than angry. "I have studied the full report," Elder Thorn said in his deep, calm voice. "The humans' targeting systems are remarkably precise. To disable only our communication array while leaving everything else untouched shows unusual restraint and tactical thinking." He tapped a control panel, and a hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed the human ship Defiance and the path of its energy weapon. "Look at the precision," he continued. "They could have targeted our weapons, our engines, or our life support. Instead, they chose to make a statement without causing harm. This suggests they might be more valuable as partners than as tribute providers." Ambassador Zill was not convinced. "They are primitives. They've barely left their own solar system. We cannot allow such disrespect." From the human section of the chamber, Council Security Director Alice Yang listened carefully. She was one of the few humans who had secretly been studying alien civilizations for years before the official first contact. The Council had recruited representatives from Earth decades ago, preparing for the day when humanity would join the galactic community, willingly or not. "If I may speak," Alice said, rising from her seat. All eyes turned to her. "My species doesn't respond well to threats," she explained. "Our history is filled with examples of smaller human forces defeating larger ones because they were fighting to protect their homes and freedom. But humans value fair exchange and mutual respect. If the Council approaches Earth as potential allies rather than subjects, both sides would benefit." High Commander Drell, leader of the Council's military forces, clicked his mandibles in disagreement. "The protocol is clear. All developing worlds provide tribute when first contacted. Making an exception creates dangerous precedent." "Perhaps," Elder Thorn said slowly, "it is the protocol itself that needs review. The galaxy changes. Should our approaches not change with it?" The debate continued for hours. Some council members demanded immediate military action to put the humans in their place. Others, impressed by humanity's boldness and precision, argued for a different approach. Meanwhile, on Earth, preparations continued. If the Council decided on war, humanity needed to be ready. If they decided on diplomacy, humanity needed to be ready for that too. In a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Russell met with a small team of Earth's best scientists, diplomats, and military strategists. Among them was Dr. Lily Chen, Earth's leading expert on theoretical alien biology. "Based on the limited data we have, Dr. Chen explained, pointing to a holographic display. The council species have different physiologies, but share common traits. They all breathe oxygen, though some require higher or lower concentrations than humans. Their technologies seem to rely on similar scientific principles to our own, just more advanced. Any weaknesses? Admiral Russell asked. Dr. Chen shook her head. Not exactly weaknesses, but differences we might use to our advantage. Their communication systems operate on frequencies we don't normally use. Their ships are faster than ours, but may be less maneuverable in certain conditions. And if we need to fight? Secretary of Defense Kate Howard asked. We've analyzed the scans of their ship, replied General Joe Martinez, studying a tactical display. Their weapons are powerful, but our planetary defense grid could hold them off long enough to launch our own strikes. It would be costly for both sides. Admiral Russell nodded grimly. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. The door opened and President Helen Ward entered the room. Everyone stood. We've received a new transmission from the Council, she announced. They want to send a diplomatic delegation to Earth. A wave of relief passed through the room. So they're choosing talk over war, Admiral Russell said. For now, President Ward cautioned. But they've also made it clear that our response was unprecedented and has caused considerable debate within the Council. Some factions still want to make an example of us. What exactly are they proposing? Asked Martin Gray, the Secretary of State. They want to send 3 representatives to explain how the Galactic Council operates and to discuss Earth's future relationship with the greater galactic community, President Ward replied. Sounds reasonable, Martin said cautiously. It could be a trick, Kate Howard warned. Get representatives on Earth, then attack while we're distracted. Possibly, Admiral Russell agreed. But it's also our first real chance for meaningful dialogue. We should take it, with appropriate precautions. President Ward looked around the room. We need a diplomatic team to meet with them. People who understand what's at stake and won't back down under pressure. I have some suggestions, Martin Gray said, including a new ambassador to represent Earth officially. Good, President Ward nodded. And Admiral, I want Captain Monroe there too. The Council has already dealt with her once. They know she means business. She won't let you down, Admiral Russell promised. As the meeting continued, preparations began for the most important diplomatic encounter in human history. The Council's representatives would arrive in 1 week. Earth had that long to prepare. Its case for why humans deserve to be treated as equals, not subjects. Back on Nexus Prime, the Council's debate finally ended with a vote. By a narrow margin, they decided to pursue diplomatic relations with Earth, at least for now. This is a mistake, Ambassador Zill muttered as the chamber emptied. These humans will cause nothing but trouble. Elder Thorne smiled slightly. Perhaps they'll bring something this council has needed for a long time, a fresh perspective, and the courage to challenge old ways. Alice Yang said nothing, but inside she felt a flicker of hope. For the first time, a developing species had forced the council to reconsider its approach. It was a small step, but an important one. The warning shot had been heard across the galaxy. The day of the council delegation's arrival brought clear blue skies over Washington, D.C. Security was tight around the newly built Diplomatic Reception Center, a sleek glass and steel building constructed in just 5 days specifically for this historic meeting. Military vehicles lined the streets and Earth's most advanced fighter jets flew overhead. Inside the center, Captain Lisa Monroe adjusted her formal uniform as she stood with Earth's diplomatic team. She felt strange being away from her ship, but President Ward had insisted on her presence. You fired the shot that got their attention, the president had told her. They'll respect that. Next to Lisa stood Ambassador Greg Martinez, a calm, thoughtful man with silver hair and deep brown eyes. Though new to his role as Earth's official representative to the Galactic Council, he had decades of diplomatic experience resolving conflicts around the world. Nervous? He asked Lisa with a small smile. A little, she admitted. I'm better at action than talking. Sometimes words are the most important action, Greg replied. And sometimes just showing up is half the battle. Dr. Paul Kim, Earth's leading scientist for the meeting, checked his tablet one final time. The Council ship has entered Earth's atmosphere. They'll be here in 5 minutes. Lisa took a deep breath. After the warning shot, after all the preparation, the moment had finally come to face the Council directly. The Earth team consisted of 5 people: Ambassador Martinez as the leader, Captain Monroe as military representative, Dr. Kim as scientific advisor, Commander Olivia Wright as military attaché, and Deputy Secretary of State Susan Ellis as political counsel. "Remember," Ambassador Martinez said quietly to the team, "we are representing not just our countries or ourselves, but all of humanity. We show strength without aggression, confidence without arrogance." A soft tone sounded, indicating the Council ship had landed on the building's roof. Moments later, the doors slid open and 3 figures entered the room. The first was clearly Overseer Vexnar, his blue skin and wide mouth recognizable from the earlier transmission. Behind him walked a tall, thin being with pale yellow skin and 4 arms. The third was a surprise, a human woman with short black hair and alert eyes. "Welcome to Earth," Ambassador Martinez said, stepping forward. "I am Ambassador Greg Martinez, appointed by the United Nations to represent humanity." Vexnar nodded slightly. "I am Overseer Vexnar, representing the Administrative Division of the Galactic Council. This is Science Advisor Krell," he indicated, the 4-armed being. "And you may be surprised to see Council Security Director Alice Yang." Lisa couldn't hide her shock. Another human, working for the Council? Ambassador Martinez's expression never changed, but she could see the slight tension in his shoulders. "We have much to discuss," Alice said, her voice perfectly calm. "But first, perhaps you would like to know why humans have been working with the Council for decades before your official first contact." The Earth delegation was led to a large conference room where refreshments had been prepared for both human and alien biology. As they sat around the oval table, Lisa found herself directly across from Overseer Vexnar, whose unblinking eyes seemed to study her with new interest. 50 Earth years ago," Alice began, "the Council detected your first nuclear weapons and space launches. Following standard protocol, we began monitoring your development and recruiting a small number of humans to help us understand your society." "You've been spying on us," Commander Wright said flatly. "Observing," Science Advisor Krell corrected, his voice surprisingly musical. "As we do with all developing species. Your planet is not unique in this regard." "What is unique," Vexnar added, "is your response to our contact." The warning shot was unprecedented. Ambassador Martinez leaned forward slightly. "Humans have a saying. We extend one hand in friendship but keep the other ready to defend ourselves. Your demand for tribute was seen as disrespectful to a species that values its independence. The Council has contacted hundreds of worlds over thousands of years," Vexnar replied. "All have eventually provided tribute." "But at what cost?" Dr. Kim asked. He activated a holographic display showing graphs and charts. "We've spent the past week analyzing what little data we have about the Council. Most developing worlds that provide tribute remain second-class members for centuries, their resources drained while their development stagnates." Alice Yang nodded slightly, her expression giving nothing away. "We've prepared an alternative proposal," Ambassador Martinez continued. "A mutually beneficial relationship where Earth contributes to the Council not through tribute, but through trade, scientific cooperation, and cultural exchange." He slid a data tablet across the table. "We're new to your galactic community, but we bring innovation, creativity, and determination unlike anything you've seen. Partners will find us invaluable. Adversaries will find us problematic." Science Advisor Krell picked up the tablet with one of his 4 hands, his large eyes blinking rapidly as he scanned the information. "Interesting," he said after a moment. "Your technological development pathway is unusual. You've advanced rapidly in some areas while remaining primitive in others." "That's the human way," Captain Lisa said. "We're inconsistent, sometimes illogical, but always determined. Your proposal will need to be presented to the full Council," Vexnar said. Some members will resist any change to established protocols. Then, perhaps it's time for those protocols to evolve, Ambassador Martinez suggested. The galaxy isn't static. Why should the Council's approaches be? Alice Yang spoke up. There's a growing faction within the Council that agrees with that view. Elder Thorn was particularly impressed by the precision of your warning shot. It showed both capability and restraint, qualities the Council claims to value. And yet you demanded tribute rather than introducing yourselves as potential allies, Commander Wright pointed out. Old habits, Alice admitted with a small smile. The Council has operated the same way for thousands of years. Change comes slowly. Not on Earth, Captain Lisa said. We've gone from horse-drawn carriages to space travel in just over a century. For the first time, Vexnar's face formed what might have been a genuine smile. Perhaps that is why you have surprised us. The Council has forgotten what it's like to adapt quickly. As the meeting continued into the evening, the discussion moved from tense confrontation to cautious exploration of possibilities. The Council representatives shared information about galactic politics, technology, and trade networks. The Earth team presented humanity's history, values, and potential contributions. By the time they finished, one thing was clear. The path forward would not be simple, but a door had been opened that could never be closed again. Humanity had earned its first real chance to join the galactic community, not as subjects, but as partners, and it had all started with a warning shot. 1 year later, Captain Lisa Monroe stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed orbital diplomatic station Unity. The massive space station hung in Earth orbit, its curved windows offering stunning views of the planet below. Earth looked peaceful from space, a blue and green jewel against the blackness. Beautiful, isn't it? Said a voice behind her. Lisa turned to see Lieutenant Eric Foster, her communications officer from the Defiance, now assigned as her aide on this historic day. It never gets old, she agreed, no matter how many times I see it. Through the large viewport, she could also see the traffic of ships moving around Earth orbit. Some were human vessels, but others came from a dozen different alien civilizations. In the year since the warning shot, much had changed. Earth was becoming a hub of galactic activity. They're arriving, Eric said, checking his tablet. The Council Leadership Committee will dock in 10 minutes. Lisa nodded, straightening her formal uniform. Today, the Council's new Leadership Committee would arrive to sign the Earth Council Cooperative Agreement. The document would establish humanity as full members of the galactic community with all rights and responsibilities. It had taken a year of intense negotiations, but today would mark the official end of Earth's isolation. Admiral Jack Russell, now with more gray in his hair, but standing as tall as ever, joined Lisa at the viewport. Nervous, Captain? A little, she admitted. It's been a long road to get here. Hard to believe it's actually happening. You started this journey, Russell reminded her. That warning shot changed everything. I just followed orders, Lisa said modestly. Russell shook his head. You did more than that. You showed them exactly who we are, capable of precision and restraint but unwilling to be pushed around. Lisa smiled. It was true that the warning shot had become something of a legend, both on Earth and throughout the Council worlds. Some alien species now referred to humans as the warning shot species, a term that carried unexpected respect. The observation deck began to fill with important people from Earth and the Council. Ambassador Greg Martinez led the human diplomatic team, looking confident in his formal attire. Dr. Paul Kim chatted with science advisor Krell, the four-armed alien who had become a regular visitor to Earth's top research facilities. Most surprising was the friendship that had developed between Commander Olivia Wright and Overseer Vexnar. The military officer and the once arrogant alien administrator were deep in conversation about security protocols, their initial distrust replaced by professional respect. Alice Yang approached Lisa with a smile. Captain Monroe, it's good to see you again. Over the past year, Alice had become an important bridge between Earth and the Council. Her unique position as both human and longtime Council member had helped smooth many difficult negotiations. How are things looking on the Council side? Lisa asked quietly. Better than expected, Alice replied. The reforms are taking hold. Elder Thorn's faction has gained considerable influence. The old demand tribute approach is being phased out for all contact with new species. Because of us? Alice nodded. The human incident, as they call it, forced many to reconsider policies that hadn't been questioned for centuries. Your warning shot didn't just save Earth from exploitation. It may have saved the Council from its own complacency. A soft tone sounded throughout the station, indicating the arrival of the Council's ship. Minutes later, the doors to the observation deck slid open, and the Council's new leadership committee entered. Elder Thorn led the way, his ancient green face looking pleased despite his formal expression. Behind him came representatives from 12 different species, including several who had once voted against any special treatment for Earth. Welcome to Unity Station, Ambassador Martinez said warmly. We're honored by your presence. Elder Thorn bowed slightly. The honor is mutual. This station is impressive, built in just 8 months using both human and Council technology. It stands as a symbol of what we can achieve together. The formal signing ceremony was set up in the center of the observation deck. The Earth Council cooperative agreement had been carefully crafted over months of negotiation. It recognized Earth as a full member of the galactic community, established fair trade protocols, created knowledge exchange programs, and set military cooperation guidelines. Most importantly, it formally ended the tribute system for all future species contacted by the Council. Instead, a new graduated integration protocol would be used, one that respected the sovereignty and unique development of each new civilization. As representatives from 28 species, the original 27 Council members plus humanity, gathered around the document, Lisa found herself standing next to Admiral Russell. They came expecting tribute, Russell said quietly, and found instead a species that wouldn't bend. And now? Asked Lisa. Russell smiled. Now they're finding something they needed even more, equals who see the universe differently. President Helen Ward stepped forward to sign for Earth, her pen hovering over the document. 1 year ago, the people of Earth faced a choice: submit to demands or stand our ground. We chose to stand firm, but also to extend a hand in friendship once our strength was recognized. Elder Thorn signed for the Council, using an ancient ceremonial marking tool. And the Council faced its own choice: cling to the old ways or embrace new possibilities. Both our civilizations have grown from this encounter. As they signed the historic agreement, Lisa looked out at the stars visible beyond Earth's blue curve. Humanity's place among those stars was now secured, not as subjects but as partners who had earned their position. The story would be told for generations across thousands of worlds. When the Council demanded tribute, humans answered with a warning shot and changed the galaxy forever. After the ceremony, as the diplomats and officials mingled, Lisa found herself alone for a moment by the viewport. She thought about the defiance and that single, precisely aimed shot that had altered the course of human history. Sometimes the most powerful statement wasn't all-out war or complete surrender. Sometimes it was just enough force applied at exactly the right place to make someone stop and reconsider. Lisa smiled at Earth spinning peacefully below. The warning shot had been heard, and humanity's voice would now ring out among the stars, not as an echo of the Council, but as something new and valuable, a different perspective in a universe that needed fresh ideas. Captain Monroe, called Ambassador Martinez. They're asking for you. They want to hear about the warning shot from the person who fired it. Lisa nodded and turned away from the viewport. The story of the warning shot would be told many times, but the more important story was just beginning. The story of what humanity would do with its place among the stars.